You've probably been told you're too sensitive, or you just need to relax. When you feel overwhelmed in a busy place. But what if your anxiety in crowds isn't a character flaw, but a sign of a finely tuned nervous system that's actually working exactly as it's designed to? Today, we're going to uncover the surprising biological reason why your body reacts so strongly to crowds, and it's not what most people think. If you've ever walked into a crowded space and immediately felt your chest tighten, your breathing shallow, or an overwhelming urge to escape, you know this feeling intimately. Maybe it's the grocery store on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe it's a networking event where everyone seems perfectly comfortable while you're calculating the quickest route to the exit. Maybe it's a family gathering where the overlapping voices and clatter of dishes makes your skin feel like it's crawling. And here's what usually happens next. You blame yourself. You think you're weak, antisocial, or fundamentally flawed for not being able to handle what everyone else seems to navigate effortlessly. But what if I told you that your reaction to crowds has nothing to do with your character, and everything to do with how your brain is wired? Let me tell you about Maya's Saturday morning. She decides to try that new coffee shop downtown, the one everyone's been raving about. She walks in, and within 30 seconds, her nervous system starts sending alarm signals. The espresso machine hisses. Someone's laughing loudly at a corner table. A child is crying 2 tables over. The barista calls out orders while music plays overhead. Conversations blend into an indecipherable wall of sound. The lights feel too bright. Someone brushes past her, and she instinctively steps back. Her heart starts racing, not because anything dangerous is happening, not because she has social anxiety or agoraphobia, but because her brain is processing every single input simultaneously. While her friend beside her casually scans the menu, Maya's nervous system is cataloging the emotional tension between the couple arguing quietly in the corner, the stress radiating from the overwhelmed barista, the 7 different conversations happening within earshot, the sensory overload of sounds, smells, and movements, the unpredictable energy of dozens of people in one confined space. To her friend, it's just a busy coffee shop. To Maya's highly sensitive nervous system, it's like trying to have a conversation inside a tornado. She makes an excuse to leave, feeling defeated and wondering once again why she can't just be normal. But here's what Maya doesn't know. Her response isn't abnormal. It's actually the result of a very specific neurological difference that affects about 20% of the population. Here's the surprising truth about why you get anxious in crowds. Your brain has what scientists call a high-sensitivity threat detection system. Dr. Elaine Aron's neuroimaging studies reveal something fascinating. When highly sensitive people are exposed to complex environments, their brains show significantly more activity in areas responsible for sensory processing, emotional regulation, threat detection. Look at this. In a typical brain exposed to a crowded environment, you see moderate activity in the sensory processing regions. But in a highly sensitive brain, these areas light up like a Christmas tree. Your amygdala brain's alarm system isn't overreacting. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do when it detects what it perceives as complex, unpredictable stimuli. And in a crowd, there's a lot of unpredictable stimuli. But here's the crucial part most people don't understand. This isn't happening because you're anxious. You're becoming anxious because this is happening. Think of it this way. Imagine your brain is like a sophisticated security system. Most people have a standard home security system that alerts them to obvious threats, someone breaking a window, opening a door. But you have a military-grade detection system that notices everything. The slight change in air pressure when someone walks by. The subtle shift in lighting when a cloud passes over. The barely audible sound of footsteps 3 houses down. In our ancestors' world, this hypersensitive system would have been incredibly valuable. The person who could detect subtle environmental changes, read group dynamics, sense when something was off, they kept their community safe. But take that same system into a modern, crowded space, and it's like having that military-grade security system in Times Square. Every stimulus registers as something that needs to be processed, evaluated, and responded to. In that coffee shop, Maya's brain wasn't just hearing conversations, it was unconsciously analyzing tone, emotional content, and relational dynamics. It wasn't just seeing movement, it was tracking patterns, predicting trajectories, assessing safety. It wasn't just smelling coffee, it was processing dozens of scents and what they might indicate. This is called differential susceptibility. Your nervous system is more susceptible to environmental influences, both positive and negative. You process more deeply, notice more subtly, and respond more intensely. The anxiety you feel in crowds isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. It's your highly calibrated nervous system saying, there's too much complex information here for me to process safely. So here's the reframe that changes everything. You're not broken, weak, or socially deficient. You have a nervous system that processes environmental information with extraordinary depth and precision. The problem isn't your sensitivity to crowds. The problem is that our modern world is full of environments that overwhelm sensitive nervous systems. But we've been taught to see this as our problem rather than a mismatch between our neurobiology and our environment. Your highly sensitive brain thrives in environments with predictable patterns, lower sensory input, emotional safety time to process, connection with nature or calming elements. It struggles in environments with unpredictable chaos, sensory overload, emotional intensity from multiple sources, pressure to respond quickly. Artificial, harsh stimulation. This doesn't make you limited, it makes you discerning. It doesn't make you antisocial, it makes you selective about the environments where you can truly be present and authentic. What if instead of forcing yourself to get over your crowd anxiety, you started honoring what your nervous system is telling you? What if you began choosing environments that allow your particular gifts to flourish instead of constantly trying to adapt to spaces that overwhelm your processing capacity? This might mean choosing smaller gatherings over large events, visiting busy places during off-peak hours, taking breaks to step outside and regulate wearing noise-canceling headphones in overwhelming spaces, arriving early to events before the crowd builds, having an exit strategy that doesn't require explanation. These aren't accommodations for a disorder. These are intelligent adaptations for a differently wired nervous system. Your sensitivity to crowds is actually a form of environmental intelligence. You're picking up on subtle cues that others miss. You're processing the complex interplay of human behavior and environmental stimuli. That's not a liability. That's a superpower. Like any superpower, it requires wisdom about when and how to use it. So the next time you feel overwhelmed in a crowd, I want you to pause and remember this. Your nervous system isn't malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it's designed to process deeply, notice subtly, and keep you safe in complex environments. The question isn't, how do I stop being so sensitive? The question is, how do I honor my sensitivity while still engaging with the world in ways that feel authentic and sustainable? You get to choose environments that support your nervous system instead of overwhelming it. You get to set boundaries around the kinds of stimulation you expose yourself to. You get to trust that your body's wisdom about what feels safe and what feels overwhelming. This isn't avoidance, it's attunement. It's listening to the intelligence of your own system and making choices that allow you to show up as your most regulated, present self. If hearing this made you feel understood for the first time, I want you to know you're not alone in this experience. There's an entire community of people who understand what it's like to have a nervous system that processes the world with this kind of depth and intensity. And if you found this helpful, click the link in the description to download our free sensory survival guide. It's a simple checklist for navigating overwhelming situations without feeling guilty about your needs. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next video on how to recharge your energy after an overwhelming day. Because understanding your sensitivity is just the first step. Learning how to care for it, that's where the real transformation happens. Your sensitivity isn't something to overcome, something to understand, honor, and work with instead of against. And that changes everything.